All right, and we're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode where we talk about Sword and Shield era booster boxes going to the moon. What the heck is up with that? We're going
Who
to
made
talk about
that
it
thumbnail,
today.
by the way? That thing is gorgeous.
Dude, a professional thumbnail artist, obviously.
Oh,
But
absolutely. They should get paid for their work. They don't, though.
no, honestly. They get paid in hugs and kisses, I heard. That's what I was told, at least.
Hey, man,
But
hugs and
before,
kisses around the world.
That's what I'm saying, dude. All right, before we jump into it, as always, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. Really helps the YouTube channel out. Check out Alex and his channel as well. Link is down in the description below. Alex, anything you want to say before we get it started?
No, man. I mean, if you're not having fun yet in this hobby, I don't know if you're ever going to get there. The moves right now it gets crazier every day.
Yeah, things are just constantly on the upwards. Like, obviously, it feels like every single week we have something different to talk about in market movements because things are just so volatile.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because just recently we had all that news come out about like the quote unquote Paldea Evolved reprint restocks, and you saw it drop from like the high 300s down to like the low, I would say 320s, 330s, and you can still pick up some listings here or there on eBay around that, but like for the most part, Paldea is all running back up in the mid 300s, high 300s on TCG Player. And then it's just like the only real downturns we're seeing are air reprints. Like unless it's a set getting an actual reprint or a rumor of a reprint, like Prismatic is right now, everything just continues to march forward. It just seems like there's just no end in sight. There's no ceiling anymore.
I mean, it's definitely one of those things where we've kind of talked about it, previously when looking at some of the older Sword and Shield era product. And it's just like, okay, guys, we know this is not going to correct in any major way because it's out of rotation. So you don't really have anything to lose. Yeah, it sucks to like buy at a higher price, but also the exact same time, you're just paying for such security, knowing that the value of the product will go up. And with the current volatility of the market, it feels so quick where it's just unpredictable.
Yeah, we had a similar conversation, and we have like a monthly Patreon live stream, and like that was like one of the things we talked about last night. People were kind of like discussing is, it's almost like the more risk right now is the stagnation over long periods of time than actually like losing money. Like not many people are very fearful in Sword and Shield buying in of losing money. It's just like, it doesn't come a time where things go stagnant for like a couple of years the way Sun and Moon did before it made a big move. Like I think that's almost getting to like more people's worries in Scarlet Violet era is like, well, maybe, we don't get massive reprints and doesn't really downturn. It's not going to go to MSRP and all that BS. But like, what if they do just kind of like float around in the $200 to $300 range on these boxes for multiple years before we actually see any major growth again? Because a lot of the intense growth has already been kind of cooked in the way it hasn't been in other eras. And it's definitely a real thing to consider. Like, I mean, we've never started out an era with this high of boxes. We always started out real low, and then things would sell out at Pokemon Center. They'd go out of print, and then they'd run from the 130s, 140s up to the 200 range. They would sit there, and then they would kind of make their next gains. It's like, we're already past all that. We've bypassed the first 3 years of moves already in the old market. And so like now we're in just no man's land where it's like, okay, we have $200-$300 boxes now. And does it just kind of start off and go on the next trajectory to the 400 or 500s next? Or do we kind of stay here and sit at this stage for the next two years? I don't know.
Dude, everyone in the comments. For those of you guys that are wondering where I am or what my setup is right now, we are in the process of moving to the new home. And I hurt my back when we were moving and literally haven't had the opportunity to set up my like desk and everything. So I'm like laying in bed with a pillow propped up in the backdrop because I've literally just been unable to move much. So I do apologize. I am on my laptop right now streaming, so I am not in the asylum. I promise. And yes, I do have pants on. Um, I'm just reading it. But yeah, no, honestly though, it is weird. Like things have been accelerated so much in the aspect of like just pricing in the past, realistically, we'll say like 9 to 10 months for the Sword and Shield era, obvious, or the Sun and Moon. Holy crap, Scarlet and Violet era. So I until the market shifts, I want to say I don't really see it slowing down, but even then, Sword and Shield boxes still made moves even when the market was down with Scarlet and Violet. So I can't necessarily say that like I can anticipate any sort of real slowdown unless we get into economic turmoil, even if we go into like a bear market for ultra modern.
Yeah, and guys, I mean, if you guys saw the thumbnail, I don't know if you guys have checked like prices recently, and if you checked prices like Friday or something before the weekend, it's already out of date. Lost Origin's over a $700 box. Lost Origin is running into the mid 700s. It's got very few boxes left before it reaches 800. Fusion Strike is running into the mid to high 800s. Very few boxes left on the market under $900. Like, we have some massive runs happening. I made a video. I think we might have even talked about it. Like, Evolving Skies went first, just like last time, and then the next high sets follow, and then the other sets will probably follow. So honestly, Brilliance probably next, Chilling Rain, Astral, Silver, like these sets are gonna be next. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just we're having just massive spikes. And like, I think what happens is as the prices get higher and higher, the spikes look bigger than they are because the dollar amounts are more. But in reality, they're just moving another 15-20%. It's not like crazy, but it looks crazy because it's like now 15-20% is, $150-$200.
Yeah, no, 1000%. Not financial advice, not financial advisor, but like Alex was saying, obviously, if we're expecting legs up with some of these old Sword and Shield boxes, might be worth looking at the ones that haven't made the moves yet that are probably going to follow pretty soon here. So I know it's not going to give you a 300% return like some investments have, but if you have an item that goes from 3 to 5 or 4 to 6, I mean, you're still making, around 50%, which is not a bad return on investment if these moves happen in the next month.
I mean, dude, all I know is like it's getting rough to sell in this market, because one, everything's getting so expensive. And so it's like, especially with some of the things I do on stream, it's almost like getting priced out on some of these boxes at this point. Two, it's getting hard to sell just because what's coming. Like, these boxes are running to eventually $1,000, no matter, I don't know when, but it's like, it's hard to like bring yourself to let anything go when you know where it's going, your risk is so low. And it's just like, I don't know, it just gets to that point where it's just like when everyone's this confident and everyone knows where it's going, who is going to sell this stuff? And I think that's why you start seeing the market get so scarce, because people are just so much more confident than they used to be in the past.
The only people that are selling are the people that joined this hobby and they bought stuff just because they were told to buy stuff, and then they're not really bought into it. That's literally it. Like, if you've been in this hobby for any period of time now and you've seen the returns and you've seen where the market is, like, you're confident. But if you're someone that's just very uneducated and you're just buying because someone told you to buy, or you bought because you want to get quick, like rich quick, and you over leverage yourself because you just are dumb, that's like about it.
Because you are dumb. Yeah, I mean, again, I made a video today about taking profits. Like, there's nothing against taking profits. I think it almost gets demonized in like the Pokemon investing sphere, where it's like people will, almost like mock you if you like are selling, like, or whatever. But there's always everyone's got different financial situations, different life situations, like different goals and like different risk tolerances. So like there's always reasons to sell. It's just when things seem as certain as they are right now, it just doesn't seem like a very high risk scenario holding on or buying some of these these like lesser Sword and Shield sets, like the Chilling, Brilliant, Silver, Astral. It's just like they've established that they've already went through their initial pumps earlier this year. They've retraced, 10-15%. They've set a new floor. They've stayed there now and had steady sales. There seems very little, if any, downturn risk, and like only upside potential. Like, I don't know, if you're looking to put money to work, it just seems like it's the right spot right now.
Yeah, and I guess what I mean by that is like when I say you're like dumb if you're selling, what I mean by that is like the people specifically that get into the hobby don't make their money immediately. They over leverage themselves, and so they spent money they don't have, and then they're like, "Oh, this is dumb. I thought I was going to make my money back quick, and I don't have the money to actually afford this, and I'm putting myself into a position where I now need to sell the product because I overextended myself. I now have to sell. Like that's more specifically what I'm talking about. Because there are so many instances in these markets where people, it feels like, will immediately start maxing out credit cards or taking high interest loans or payday loans. It's crazy to say, but like people will do that, and then they'll expect things to happen within a couple weeks or months. And if they don't, then they'll get skittish and sell immediately because they're already in the hole, and or we'll just have buy and then immediately just get cold feet because they just don't trust the process because they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
I like your average player's comment. I mean, yeah, 4 evolving skies boxes for your kidney. If it was me, I'd go to that person, see how many they have. And then if they have more, like offer them, a lung, or maybe like if you have a working appendix, like things like that to really get into evolving skies, that's going to pay you dividends in the future more than these like useless organs.
Dude, in this
Clip that, by the
economy,
way.
that's a
Can someone clip
great
that and
deal.
send it to all the haters? I want to start clip farming.
That's a great deal, in my personal opinion, honestly. In this economy, dude,
In this economy.
that's a great deal. See, here's the thing. Your kidney, it's only going to go down in value over time versus evolving skies. It's only going to go up because it's deflationary. Your kidneys, they're inflationary. Like with the way you're
Dude, this
using
is
them
where
every
we're at.
single day,
This is
they lose their
2025
value.
Pokemon.
They're going to depreciate in value. Might as well get rid of one of them while you can cash
Dude, we need
out.
to bring someone on and debate like keeping a kidney or having 4 evolving skies boxes. Like I think that's a
I'm just
serious debate.
saying. It's just a question we got to ask ourselves, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. Any organ you have 2 of, why not? That's the way I feel.
That's the mentality, man. That's the hustler's mindset.
Yeah.
So we talked briefly, obviously, about the boxes that are going up. Um, here's an interesting question. Have you seen the price of Mega Evolutions booster?
Yeah, and my local LGS, like they send out, their like pre-order stuff, and they sent me one for $229.99 a box. And at first I was like, that's ridiculous. And then I started looking at all the pre-orders and I'm like, am I really going to pay $230 a box on pre-order for this set? And I'm starting to think maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the price dropped. We talked about it dropping. As far as it goes right now, it's obviously too early to tell if this is the end or if it's going to keep going. I mean, the set comes out in a little over a month now, so realistically speaking, there's still so much time for this box to continue to go. I will
Well, here,
say that sorry.
well, let's throw this. Let's throw this. Destin Rivals. What is it? $8.50 a pack. You got Black and White that just came out because they're specialty sets. The packs are like $8.50, $9. Well, if a box costs $250 divided by 36 packs, that's $6.94 at $7 a pack. It's still going to be cheaper a pack at $2.50 a box than what Destin or Black and White are going for. I think people will still open it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is we saw well here okay. Here's the real important question we have to ask yourself. Both sets, Destined and Journey, both dropped on the set release day. Destined dropped from around 270, 280 down to 235, and Journey dropped from around 240 down to around 200. It's currently sitting right now at 236. So if the price doesn't move right now, it's going to be right at around $200. If we see the price go down to, let's say, 215, do we think release day it's highly possible that it drops below $200?
I'm going to say no. I know we were talking about this a while ago and we both thought it was going to, dude, I just think there's way too much hype behind this set more than I thought. I think we're going to have to wait for the next, I think we're going to have to wait to finally see that set break 200. I don't think this is the one, dude.
So you don't think that if the price, let's say a week before release is at 215, you don't think on release day it'll drop, we'll say $20 to be at like 195? Because that means that it's dropping less than Journey and both Destin did on their release days. Because Destin dropped $40.
Maybe. It's not. It's possible. I'll say that it's possible. I'm definitely not saying it's not possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause
you
that's
know what?
like
And maybe
yeah.
maybe like the day and week of, you'll see some sales and like some like people trying to dump it in the 190s. I think the majority of sellers are probably going to hold up over 200 if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. Have you got numbers yet?
I have from one of my distros, and
How's it
I
looking?
think I
Better?
mentioned I think I mentioned it a couple streams ago. It was 10% higher.
10%.
So,
Then what,
yeah.
Destin?
10%. Well, so with that distro, I got the exact same numbers for Destined compared to Journey. So it was 10% higher than the previous two
Is
sets.
this your largest distro?
Second largest. My largest distro, I will double check, but I don't think they've given numbers yet. They usually are not this early when it comes to numbers. Let me double check real quick right now
Put it this
on
way.
the portal.
If anyone's like wondering like a good price, dude, I think if you
Oh,
can
yeah,
find
they gave us numbers. They did give us numbers. Oh, wow.
right?
Okay. Hold on. Let me compare. Keep talking. I'm gonna go look at old invoices
Yeah.
to see what the numbers are and compare.
I was just gonna say, I think if you can find this box for $200, it's a deal. Like I think $200 on Mega Evolutions is the deal. If it goes under 200, better deal. If it's a little over 200, maybe a little. I mean, I think $200 is a good price point for the Mega Evolutions box. You're talking about what is that, like maybe 550-ish a pack at that point. You're like, guys, that's what you have to think about. Think about the price per pack, and it makes it sound a lot more reasonable. Like if we do $200 divided by 36 packs, you're talking about $555 a pack. I think 550 a pack's pretty reasonable for as hyped set as this is going to be. And so, yeah, 200 sounds reasonable to me.
So I'm looking right now on the old invoice for Destined. We got 1,346 boosters from this specific distro. And with our current numbers that they just gave us, we got 1,476. So that puts us at 100 and how many more? 1476 minus 1346, 130 more this
So
time around.
10%. 10%.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. So it looks like 10% bumps for my biggest two distros.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, and like I know Black and White's not performing well at all, right? The ETBs I think are like in the mid 80s or low 80s, and I think I just think Black and White missed the mark, dude. I know like there's a certain amount of like love for the games back in Black and White, but I just don't think there was enough interest back in 2000 in like the 2012, 13, 14 that I don't think there was enough that really brought people back. I mean, here's the thing you think about. Other than Reshiram and Zekrom, what other Pokemon in all of those eras could ever carry a set? Like you would never put a Black and White era Pokemon as like the main carrying like hit of a set, right? And so like I just don't think there's enough star power in Black and White to really do much. You know, like it's all about that Red Victini and the Reshiram Zekroms. And after those, it's just like I think a lot of the value of those are going to deteriorate. And I think that's why people aren't opening it as crazy rates. I don't think the price is too high. I think it's just not as sought after, man.
Frillish for sure.
Really. I mean, that Seismitoad's taking on a world of its own because of the Shinji Kanda thing, because of the 666 thing. Everyone speculating it might get banned, which obviously is probably not going to happen. But like, I don't know. There's that aspect of it that's creating a chase. But other than that, I mean, it's a bunch of illustrations. Yeah, you feel good opening it for sure. But at the end of the day, it's just like kind of like it feels better. I get it. It feels better than opening prismatic evolutions, but you're not pulling cards that you really want. You're just getting a bunch of shiny stuff, if that makes sense.
I agree with that sentiment. I mean, it makes sense to
But
me.
it does feel better. It's always more fun to pull illustrations.
I mean, I think the set will do good over long term, but I definitely will say that like yeah, the top hits are of course not anywhere near as valuable as the top hits for prismatic, but everyone likes the feeling of hitting more, which is why it's super popular still to open this set because people enjoy getting a bunch of IRs a lot easier. And you do have top chases. I mean, that's the thing you have to think about, right? And here's the interesting thing. You've got two different types of people. You've got the people that are all or nothing, We've got the people that like chasing a big hit, but also are okay with settling with getting something over nothing. And
Oh, for
so
sure.
that's kind of the whole thing right now with black and white is sure I'm not getting a $1,000+ chase card, but I'm still possibly going to get a $400+ card. And if I don't hit that card, I can still walk away with $10+ IRs that I'm going to get a lot easier. And that feels good to some people versus okay, if I don't pull that, $1,000 card, $200+ card, then realistically, like unless I get a Master Ball, one of the Eeveelutions, you were feeling like you're just getting absolutely hosed with Prismatic.
Yeah, and another thing I think too, I think as far as like the whole MSRP argument, I think we're going to see the ancillary type products get there much faster than like any booster box will. Like I think we're already getting close. I mean, you're getting close to starting to see certain collection boxes get close to like what MSRP is supposed to be. You're going to start seeing ETBs get closer. I think like you're going to start getting closer to MSRP with all these other products. I think the booster boxes are still going to be like kind of the creme de la creme, and they're going to have a little more of a margin and things like that. I just think the reason is Pokemon has shown us now in 2025, and they want to pump product out to the big box stores. They're definitely making a conscious effort at this point. I don't care what anyone says, to kind of cut out distributors a little bit and go directly to the Walmarts, Targets, Sam's Clubs, Costco's. Like they keep getting all this product, all this prismatic, and distributors are not getting any prismatic, right? Talking about the Paldea Evolved reprint, they're going to put Paldea Evolved packs out there in vending machines and all the big box, but no distributors are actually distributing it. So it's like, I think because of that, they're going to keep making more and more of those types of products, and you will eventually see those. I just think the boxes are going to be like more reserved for the hobby shop, and they're going to be lower printed. And I think it's a way to, I've said it multiple times in the past, I think it's perfect. It gets the products into kids, collectors, casuals' hands. It keeps the card price down because more and more is out there, but it also gives the collectors and investors that high dollar booster box item the same way like Magic does with a collector box, is you limit the amount of printing on that. So at least you have one item that has value, which I think is good.
Yeah, having a balance between not a too exorbitantly expensive chase card. I know everyone loves it, and then also having hits where people don't feel like they're getting absolutely shafted when they open. I feel like that's like the sweet spot when it comes to this hobby.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah, I mean, trust
too,
me, I get it. If prismatic, it's really reminiscent of prismatic opening black and white. Like I think if you just took every illustration you got and put it in a different pile, and then you compared like your hits compared to prismatic, I think it's pretty close. It's a lot of Pokeballs, EXs, and full arts. The only thing that changed is they threw illustrations in, which made it a completely different experience.
I think another thing also to consider too is the like variety of top chases. I feel like that's something where finding that kind of middle ground, because obviously with black and white, you can get an IR and it not be the same one. And sure, it's a big set and some people might like it, but I feel like you prefer it be that way than you pulling the exact same IR for the 20th time in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
No, I mean,
Sorry,
no,
continue.
go ahead.
I was going to say, have you been watching, by the way, the price of the Umbreon?
No, for prismatic, I know it dropped under $1,000.
Yeah.
So I do
Right
know that.
now, lowest listed is 870.
Wow.
And then after that, it goes to 897, then 899, then yeah, right under 900.
I'm not ready to do it yet, but there's going to come a time up here soon where I'm going to actually say, I think the Eeveelutions are a buy. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it yet, but there is going to come a time here soon where the Eeveelutions are definitely going to be a buy, just like the alt arts were when they really came down, 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 and down. There's eventually going to be a bottom, and finding that bottom is going to be impossible. But if you can start kind of buying where you think you're getting close to it, I don't know if we're there yet, right? I'm not like ready to say that yet, but I promise you, these Eeveelutions, they are going to recover at some point. But the question is, recover from where, right? Like, because if you're too early, you can be just as wrong as not buying at all, right? Like if you buy at 870 and it drops down to 650 and then it recovers to 870, it's like, okay, well now you're up, 30%, but you're back to even basically. So I do believe though, like they are going to have value. They are very hard to hit. They are very cool. Like people are going to want to collect the Eeveelutions. I don't know when those price points are to start buying, but they are coming up here eventually.
I know it's not as big percentage wise, but also the regular Umbreon is down from 1550 down to 1400. So it's also taken a little bit of a dip.
That's what the Master Ball or?
No, I'm talking about from evolving Umbreon.
Oh, no, the Umbreon's up, I thought.
No, I'm looking at the 3-month chart. From the 3-month chart, it's showing that I was selling at 1550 as of May 28th, and then it is currently lowest listed at 1400.
Dude, it's so weird because the 10 is doing the exact opposite. Like the 10 is on the run back to 3,000 right now.
Yeah.
I think it's at like 2,900.
Here's my thing, man. This is why I buy sealed more than I do singles, because I don't have to play this game of like, oh, it took another dip. Like booster box is at 2,400 right now, and it just keeps going up. It's not stopping. Just saying, man. Like
the singles are, and when people will reach out to me too and ask me, like right now, I had someone just a couple of days ago. They reached out, asked me about some of their XY Sun and Moon singles, and I'm like, I can't tell you what to do, but if you're asking me, I take profits on my singles. When I make single plays and they pump 50, 100, whatever percent, and I made my money, I sell. Like I don't play around with holding singles volatility. I take my singles profits and I roll those profits into sealed product. And so like, that's always my advice. If you're playing the singles game and you're getting in when things are low, like, and you think you hit it, when you do hit it, they talk about this when it comes to like trading in the stock market and investing is don't turn a trade into an investment, right? Yeah. Like a lot of people will buy a stock or something or crypto, and they'll buy it as like a trade, like either a day trade or like, a weekly trade, a swing trade type thing. And they'll start either losing on it or something. And they'll convince themselves, well, no, I do believe in this. They'll convince themselves why to turn it into an investment. But I just think that's wrong. I think you should get into a play, understand your risk, understand like where you want to, your risk tolerance, where you're going to sell at, understand what you're looking to gain out of it. And I just think singles should be, I think that you would take profits on them because we've seen so many things in history. We've seen vintage singles literally drop like 70, 80% after the big run up in 2021. Like, and look, I love modern, but dude, seeing some of these modern cards, like, I don't know if you saw the Phantom Forces Gengar, that full art, it sold for like $15,000. It was a $2,000 card like 9 months ago. Like some of this stuff, guys, I'd be taking my profits on these crazy run-ups.
Are you sure it's not shill bidding?
Yes, because it was Z&G Emporium. I think he confirmed it was paid on his Instagram. Yeah.
It
the silver dialga, I think, sold for like 10,000 too.
That sounds ridiculous to me.
Right. I mean, the Latios, Latios, I think is up in like the 8,000 or 9,000 range. The list goes on and on. Like we're seeing multiple of these XY Sun and Moon cards reaching the $5,000 to $10,000 bracket now. And a lot of these cards were literally like, if not high hundreds, very low thousands, 9, 10, 11 months ago. And so it's like, look, in a bull market, you expect to see 50, 100% gains, maybe more on some things. When something goes up 500% in a matter of months, I usually try to take profits. Like,
but what about WOTC era, Alex? How is that performing?
Dude, that's so funny. People like asking me about that. Dude, I still made the best decisions in my life. Dude, most of those WOTC products are either as much as I sold them for or barely more 4 years later after I've sold. Like, so we're talking, you could have bought like Fusion and Chilling at $80, Evolving at like 100. Like you could have bought Paldea Evolved when it came out. I've done so much more with that money than what little amount of money I would have made by holding through all the downs and ups. Like the base set booster box is finally getting back to what I sold it. I sold it for $22,500 back in 2021. It's just finally eclipsed that 4 years later again, meaning you'd have been sitting on dead money for 4 years instead of selling it and putting it into a million different things. Like, it's crazy.
It's a big yikes.
Yeah. So like, I truly think some of these modern cards, even some of these modern boxes, possibly like seeing Phantom Forces at 12K, like I think there's going to cut when we do finally have kind of a falling off period. I think you might have a better chance of seeing prices of some of these cards and boxes lower, if not stagnant, in 2 or 3 years than actually higher at this point.
Yeah, it feels like, don't get me wrong. We believe in the volatility of certain things, like Evolving Skies, seeing its performance, like it makes sense. But there does come a point where you have to ask yourself, like, okay, this just starts to feel like unrealistic. Like what is going on right now? I don't know. Like
It
it
feels
feels
very
like an
similar. It feels
insane
very
bubble.
similar to 2021 with a lot of the some of the not all the vintages, a couple of areas of vintage like Gold Stars right now feel like that. Some XY Sun and Moon stuff feels like that. But Sword and Shield, Scarlet Violet don't feel like they don't feel bubbly at all. Like again, like things go making moves up 10, 20, 30%. That's normal. Like Scarlet Violet boxes, like a lot of them have been sitting around 200 for a while now. Like some have been moving up slightly, but it's like you're not seeing these 3, 4, 5, 600% moves like you are in other areas of the market.
Yeah,
Like
1000%.
you're seeing Gold Stars sell for like 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a card when they were literally like 10 or 20. I mean, it's
Man, I wonder what that Mew's at right now.
I mean, again, like
Oh,
I know there's repricing periods in markets, but then usually when things go parabolic, they always give some back. And again, like when they do give some back, how long do they kind of fluctuate and find a new bottom? And how long does it take to get back to those new highs? Again, last time it took about 4 years for them to get back to the highs I sold a lot of my stuff at. Will it be another 4 years? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's another year, 2 years, whatever. But what could you do with that money in that time frame? It's what I always think about.
yeah. No, 100%. Before we obviously jump into it, just want to give everyone a reminder, 10 minutes or less, we're going to be answering your guys' questions. Make sure you, of course, type in bold question followed up with what your question is. Just makes it easier for us to go through in the comment section down below and not miss it. Of course, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe really helps the channel if you like the content.
Saucy, I see you comment. I bought a PSA 8 Mudkip for 1.4K a year ago. Now it's nearly 10K. Would you sell? Can't tell you what to do. Not financial advice. If I owned that card, it would 100% be sold.
Dude, this is July 23rd for the Mew Gold Star. In a PSA 7, it sold for 4,200. And August 9th, in an 8, it sold for 5,500. That's insane. That is so beyond reality at this point. Like the 9 a year ago, less than a year ago, was selling for like 1,500 for the 9.
Yep.
Like the 10 was selling for like 8,000. I don't know. That's crazy to me. That's mind-bogglingly crazy. I mean, it's funny because you have a PSA 8 sale literally in June, so literally 2 months prior to the most recent PSA 8 selling for 55. That one sold for 2,400.
Yeah.
So, and back in May, the 7 sold for 15. Yeah, it's crazy to see where it's going right now.
It's insane, dude. Like, I just and that's why I mean my video I made today, it was like all revolving around like selling. I compared it to like, and you'll probably know what I'm talking about. I compared it to like being at the gym. And it's like you start out going to the gym because you want to get healthy, get in better shape, look better, all those things. And then, when like people get competitive, they're like, you want to lift more than the guy next to you. You want to lift more than your friend. I got to get my bench up. I got to get my squat up. And it becomes like this weird competition of lifting when it's like, that's not the point. The point is like, get healthy, look good. Right. And it's like, I feel like it's happening in Pokemon. It's like, people are almost turning it into a competition. Like, well, how much is your collector app? Well, how many cases do you have stacked on your shelves? Look at all the cases I have stacked. And it's just like, you're missing it, guys. You're missing it. It is about you making money on your money, doing good investing, outproducing gains you could have got somewhere else, right? And, obviously like benefiting your life in a positive way from the hobby. It's not about like being the number one investor. It's about, doing the best for your life, your situation. And if your life, your situation, it makes sense to take profits in these times and use that money for other things in your life that you may not be able to afford without Pokemon. That's a win. Like that is, you haven't taken a vacation in 4 years because you can't afford it, but now Pokemon's afforded it to you. Great. Like you haven't got a car in 15 years, but now you can afford one because of Pokemon. Awesome. Like, whatever it may be, or just you don't really have a lot of extra income to buy Pokemon, but you think there's going to be better deals coming up. You think there's going to be great, entry points coming up on our later sets, and you want to sell some and hold cash. Hey, great idea. You're getting a little worried, like you're getting a little scared, and you think prices are getting too high. It's becoming too much of a part of your net worth, too high of a portfolio. Sell some, reduce some of your risk, bring your cost basis down to where you basically can't lose anymore. Put that cash in the bank and then wait for a second. I mean, I get inflation's bad and I get like you don't want to sit on cash forever, but having some cash on hand because you think, there's going to be some corrections, having cash for 3, 6, 9 months is not the worst thing in the world, guys. Don't freak out. Like there are reasons to sell. It's not always the worst thing in the world is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I know everyone like wants to hold for eternity, but I would much rather like leave money on the table than lose money. That's just my mentality. And I'm not saying that you're going to lose money, but I am saying that it's not a bad thing to literally make money by just selling right now. Like that's it. Like there's no shame in saying, "Oh no, I made a bunch of money." Like that sucks. Like what people yeah, we're in a mentality where everyone wants to get rich quick, and I don't know.
Like I said,
I
it's
get
just
it.
weird
I get it though.
competition. It's like it's almost like you're and you
It's
remember
social
back in the day.
media. It's social media. That's
Well,
literally
you
it.
remember back in the day when me and you like were like on other streams like with debates and stuff. Back then it was like, you were like seen as like a status symbol if you had certain trophy cards or certain like first edition cards from WOTC or like, the ponchos. Like if you own these, you were seen as like a higher up collector or something. It's like it's still there. Now it's just like, well, look at this picture of all my cases I have on my shelves, or look at my collector app. Look at this. And it's just like, cool, man. Like, I mean, I don't know how old you are. I don't know what your income situation is. Do you have family money? Like, did you have debt? Like, do you have a spouse? What do they make? Like, do you have kids? Like, there's like a million different things of life situations that other people have. Like the comparison thing is so weird, dude.
Yeah. It's just social media is keeping up with the Joneses, but just on a more hyperbolic scale. And then also you have to think about too in this hobby, people for some reason validate individuals if they have a higher net worth in this hobby, which I think is so stupid. Like
Dude, look at average player. People are flexing their collector portfolios on Tinder at this point.
that is funny. That's crazy.
So how'd you meet your wife? Well, I was posting on Tinder and she saw my Pokemon collector app and it lured her in.
It's just what the ladies want these days.
Oh God.
All right, you ready to start answering some questions?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
How much is the difference usually between 6 booster boxes and 1 sealed booster box case? Can you give me some examples from past sets?
It really depends. I mean, what would you say an average is? I don't know.
It's hard to say. It's all over the place. It's going to be different too because with newer sets there's not a premium, and by newer sets I mean like just release sets. But obviously if you go back and look at like Evolving Skies, I mean it could be several $1,000s, which in a percentage is like 10%.
I mean, I know Prismatic right now because and I've talked about it, but like the reason since they're releasing all of those ETBs in Costco and Sam's Club bundles, the ETBs are like $105, but like the cases are going for like $1,300 plus. So it's quite a bit.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because they're just not putting anything through distribution, so the cases are just so limited.
Yeah, that one makes sense to me.
I don't know, like
yeah,
10% sounds like relatively, like I would say.
I feel like that's an appropriate answer. I'd have to go look a little bit more, but let me double check and see like what's Lost Origin right now. And it's hard to say.
I feel like 10%
Origin's
sounds decent. 5 to 10% maybe.
Nope, not Lost Thunder. Lost Origin, please. Booster box case. All right, let's see what they're saying. So, I mean, it's hard because they're not
actually cheaper.
Well, like I said before,
well, hold on.
The run up just happened, so I don't know how.
Yeah,
so
never
it
mind.
Looks like. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say last sold was for $4,200.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's one guy, but he's got like 94.6 feedback. So after him, the lowest list is 4,470 plus shipping, so it's almost 4,500. So Yeah, it's somewhere between that 5 to 10% range. I would say somewhere between 5 to 10%.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm seeing sales in August for, well, August 3rd was around 3,500. That's how much it was selling for. I mean, I don't know. How much was the box at the time? 583. That's not a huge premium, at least for what it was at the time. I don't know. It's hard to say.
See, Lost Origin and Silver Tempest are hard because they had those late reprints. I think like Fusion Strike probably has a higher multiple.
Let's look at Fusion Strike.
So Fusion.
It's also tough because the moves are just now happening, so it
Yeah.
feels outdated, you know? Because
Yeah.
like here's one. Fusion Strike 5,400, most recent sale. If you do the math on that, my
$900.
calculator works. Is that $900?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you do the math on that and you say to yourself, okay, that's not a huge premium, but that sale happens just 2 days ago, and like you don't know if it's caught up yet.
I would just Poke Investor.
Now.
Yeah, I would say it's always different, but if you want to throw a number to it, just I would say expect 5 to 10%.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. Do you think Silver Tempest booster box cases will have more of a premium since the purchase limit was? Wait, hold on. What? Yeah. Yeah, purchase limit was 4 on Pokemon Center. People couldn't order like previous sets for Brilliant and LO.
I mean, I remember that, but Silver Tempest also got a good size reprint through distributors that did have all cases. So I don't know. What do you think?
Am I incorrect in to say this, that it was a limit 4, but you could keep reordering?
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have a sealed case type thing, is what they're saying.
Oh, I see. I don't know. It's hard to say because like it did get such a huge reprint. I don't know how much you're gonna say. I don't know because it just there was such a huge reprint outside of what was available on Pokemon Center through distribution.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Right now, I think we should look at this in a month for specifically Silver, Lost Origin, Fusion, and we should all take a look and see what those 3 are going to look like in comparing them.
Yeah.
Buy 1 to sell by year end. Buy 1 to sell in a year. Sell 1 today. 151 booster bundle, celebrations, PC, ETB, and then Bubble Mew PSA 10.
Buy 1, sell 1 end of the year. Buy 1 to sell in a year. I mean, I would.
I don't know why he says buy 1 to sell in a year. Buy 1 is. I think I get what you're saying, but yeah.
Sell 1 today. I'd probably have to take celebrations. By the end of the year, I would probably say Bubble Mew and then 151 bundle for a year.
That makes sense.
I mean, but to be honest, I think Bubble Mew is probably going to be more next year at this time than it is right now. Never underestimate the out of rotation rally.
Yeah, fair. I still think that's the safe route though.
Dude, Celebration just had a massive spike. Like I'd be happy taking profits if I had to pick one of those. I definitely wouldn't sell 151.
That's the thing, is I'd prefer to sell 151 in a year because I just know that you want to talk about out of rotation rally. 151 might go crazy.
Dude, it's gonna be this time next year. It's gonna be $20 a pack.
It's gonna be insane. Will Silver Tempest hit 450 first, or will Eli get on stream on time before the end of year at least once? It's literally, our streams are 12:30 and we started at 12:27.
Clearly Silver Tempest.
Although I will say I do have it notated as Tuesday. It is Mondays now. I need to update that.
So we're actually a whole day early. Like, how about that?
Get right, scrubs. Yeah. No, we start streaming.
I like how you took this question though. That shows confidence. I like it.
I'm here, man. Silver Tempest is definitely getting wrecked by me showing up on stream today. So Nice try, brother. Do we think we'll see some incredible TCG news hype occur at the end of Worlds, or will it disappear?
Well, it
It
always does at
will.
the end of Worlds,
You
right?
know, we yeah, it always there's always some sort of hype news.
So yes.
When does it end? It's 15th through 17th. Oh man, it's in Anaheim this year. I did not know that.
Uh-oh.
I didn't realize that. I thought it
He's
was in
going home.
what? Am I dumb? I thought it was in Hawaii. Man, I guess I'm retarded. I apologize. Yeah, 2025 Pokemon World Championship, Anaheim Convention, California. Wow. All right. Hawaii was last year, was it not?
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm thinking about. Um, yeah, there's gonna be something crazy that we're gonna see here soon. That's how it always is. What do you think makes a good investable set? The chase cards inside? Is it the print run in the era? Is it the look of the box or the combo or everything? Or do you just buy one of every set?
Chase cards and print run.
Yep, that's about as simple as it gets. I mean, pull rates mean literally nothing. Pull rates literally mean nothing in the long run. Chase cards are what people care about the most because people want sets that have cool art designs. And so if you can have a cool card with a cool art design, like the three most important factors when it comes to investing is the character on the card, the art design for that specific character, and the availability or like population of available sealed product, like the supply. So if you have a set that not only has a cool character with a cool art design and is scarce, it's going to be insanely expensive. But if you have a set that like doesn't have a cool character but it has a cool art design and it's scarce, it'll do good but not as good. And then if it's just scarce, it'll still do good. And you can look at multiple instances of this, right? Rebel Clash, no cool art design, no cool main characters. Guess what? Still an insanely expensive box because it was super scarce. So I would argue that in matter of importance, scarcity, then art design, then character. That's just my personal belief. Because we've seen sets in the past perform extremely poorly, even with popular characters, just because people hated the art design. I mean, Obsidian Flames, when it first came out, was like so poorly received and it performed so bad out the gate. But now that it's become more scarce, it started to finally pick up in its value.
Hey, it's at the end, so you don't have to like lose your place. But like, I'm just gonna read it. Elemental Hothead said, "Thoughts on card shops and whatnot scammers selling raw cards at PSA prices? The answer is obvious, but I feel it's so easy to hose the noobs. Thanks." Dude, here's the thing, dude. It's a free market. Like, yeah, when you say scammers, I immediately think they're actually doing something like illegal or malicious. They're scamming, listing an item for a price and having a customer come along and buy it. It's there. There's nothing wrong going on there. It'd be like saying, naming some bar and being like, well, do you think this bar is selling alcohol at this inflated price? I can just go to the grocery store and buy it for less. Or why is Starbucks selling coffee at such an inflated price? I could just go and make my own coffee. It's just like, dude, you're paying for, if you want to buy from them, they have something listed and someone's willing to pay it and they sell it. There's nothing wrong going on there. There's a seller, there's a buyer. They both agreed on a price. A transaction took place. If you don't agree on the price, you go somewhere else and find something better that you agree is a good price and you buy from that person. Like, I don't like using the word scammer unless someone's actually scamming, actually doing something illegal or wrong. So like that's my thoughts on that stuff.
It's not, you're just being extremely unethical. Like, you're obviously taking advantage of someone with their lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can interpret that as saying that you're scamming them, but the term scamming is more specifically like someone is paying for something and not receiving what they're paying for. No, they're paying for what they're receiving. They're just paying an exorbitant price. So they're getting absolutely cooked, which sucks. We didn't see the super chat. Necro, thank you so much for the $5. Shinja is falling off. The toad is gross. Wow. That's a
I don't think
statement.
so, man. I mean,
That
not
is a
that I
statement.
think the Toad's cool or anything. I don't think Shinji's falling off at all. I think he's going to be just fine.
Do you think Silver Tempest booster boxes will have more of a Oh, we already answered this question. Alex, what are your thoughts on Rayquaza V Altar from Evo Skies?
Rayquaza V. I mean, I don't know. I think it is moving quite a bit. The art's awesome. Like, I think eventually maybe the VMAXs, all the VMAX like cards get too expensive and people like just kind of take the Rayquaza because they, the VMAX is too much, or maybe they take the Umbreon V because the VMAX is too much. I don't know. I'm always more a fan of going for like the top card, but I think there's always a good play on the kind of lesser cards as well. What's your take, man? By the way, I want to throw this out there. Shinji Kanda also drew the Roaring Moon from Prismatic, I believe. And if you look at Prismatic, you literally only have the 8 Eeveelutions ahead of it. It's actually higher up in the Eevee. So like Shinji's card is the 9th most expensive card in Prismatic, even above the Eevee. And so I don't think his art's going. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think the Toad's going to be just fine.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. With the Rayquaza, it's really hard to say. I mean, we've obviously seen a huge price correction on it, along with obviously the Umbreon. I'd be curious to see if this is a price correction that is also just happening across the board with some of the other cards within the set. I mean, I don't know. I'm seeing a slight price correction with like the EV VMAX for Leafeon. And then if I'm looking at the Sylveon, dude, why does it automatically show me damaged? I don't want to see your damaged listings. Please stop. We're seeing it looks like some price corrections are also happening just across the board. So I don't know. If it's one of these things where you're asking the question of like, is it an opportunity to pick up? I don't think it's the worst buy by any means. I mean, it's Rayquaza, it's a cool art design. But like for me, I don't know. It's tough to say like it's going to have an insane premium just because we know the VMAXs were so much harder to pull. So it's going to be much more available in its supply, I presume. But for me, I just like, I don't know.
I don't know how
it's
the
not
raw.
a bad buy. It's not a bad buy, but I'm not like saying it's an incredible buy currently.
Yeah, and I don't know how the raw stacks up. Unfortunately, like all my data is always like that's why me and Eli are good. All Eli stuff is raw. All my stuff's PSA. So like, I just judging by okay, never mind. They were much closer together, but like it looks like the Charizard V finally made a jump. I was gonna say it's about the same price as the Charizard V from Brilliant. I think I'd probably take that around the same price than I would the the Rayquaza V from Evolving, but it looks like it is quite a little bit more expensive now by like $100. But I still think I'd rather have the Charizard over the Rayquaza V.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. With how high the current prices are of SV, what do you think this era will be? What chance do you think this era will be stagnant for a long time before another spike?
Dude, I don't think it's going to. I think like the temporal, the middle like block there, temporal and onward, I think could maybe like go a little more stagnant because people are more worried about reprints. But dude, I think come spring and next year, those first 6 sets, dude, I think we're gonna see some massive run. I think like Paradox and SV are probably gonna run up probably high twos, $300. I think Paldea will probably go on a run to probably high fours, $500. I think 151, like I said, it'll probably be like a $20 pack. I think Paldea and Fates is going to have a massive run up, probably be close to 151 price per pack. Like, I don't know, man. I just think, I think when those kind of go out of rotation next year, it's going to lead to a pretty big run. But yeah, I could see maybe the middle ones going on a little more of a dead streak because they still have, a good year and a half or more of printing still. And people are a little like hesitant on that. So maybe.
I don't see stagnation happening realistically. I just don't. Like there's nothing that is telling me that stagnation is going to happen because even when the market was slower during like the SV era, Sword and Shield era boxes still went up in value. And so it wasn't like the market overall as a whole was being stagnant. It was just specifically ultra modern product. And so if we're just going to say, hey, the sets that are about to go out of rotation that have performed even better than Sword and Shield has during its bull market, do we think that when the market becomes stagnant again or slows down again for Ultramodern with the newest set releases, do we think that Scarlet and Violet is going to, slow down? Considering it's been performing better than Sword and Shield, I doubt it. I mean, the only thing you can say is that, like, obviously Evolving Skies right now, I mean, it's obviously an older set, so it has more time, but I don't know if there's going to be a set that's going to perform in the same way in terms of like going up that aggressively. But like outside of that one instance, it's hard to think that it's going to do anything but just go up gradually.
Yeah, and what's funny is like like the impending doom we always talk about, like the whole market crash. Like I just think people have this very weird, unrealistic vision in their head of a market crash. Like guys, a market crash, it's things retrace. Some things will retrace 10, 20, maybe 30%. Most things will just kind of go stagnant. Sales volume drops a little bit. Things get a little cheaper. Card shops still operate. They're still taking in your singles at 50% and flipping them, making a profit. People are still grading cards, making margins there. There's still certain areas of the market that are moving. There's still plays being made. Investors are still picking things up for the future. Like the show goes on. It's like, I think, it's more like, I would say, worst way of looking at it, but it's like, when conflicts happen in like, countries and things, you hear about these things happening. It's not like when you hear a conflict happening in the country, the whole country shuts down. It's like there's pockets where there's like fighting going on and things, but like a lot of the countries, they're still going on about their lives and they're going to work and they're living. And it's just like, even when like recessions happen, people hear about the 2008 recession. Dude, there's recession-proof jobs. There's people still going to work every day. They're still living. They're still working. They're still investing. Like, I think there's just this weird idea with like this like doomsday scenario where things like legitimately go to zero, don't sell, nobody wants it. It doesn't happen like that. Everything still operates. It's just a little slower. The gains aren't as few and far between. There are actual losses being taken on some things. And there's not as many people, maybe views drop on streams and stuff. The sales go down a little, but it's like, everything still works. Everything still operates. I mean, why do you think there's card shops out there that have been in business for the last 25 years? They make it through the ebbs and flows.
Yeah. This is a question for me. Would I still rate Sword and Shield better than SV if the cutoff was at 10.5? So in other words, there'd be no LO, ST, or Crown Zenith. No, I wouldn't. I would say at that point, Scarlet and Violet's better. I mean, it's one of these things where, like, for me, there are a couple of sets that, so like, don't get me wrong. If we're talking like, and I've said this before, because you can always pick and choose, right? If you look at the first half of both generations, SV clears, it's not even close. Like, right? The back half of the generation, obviously, for me personally, I just like it more because one, I'm not a fan of the crown art. I just hate tarot cards. And then two, there's a lot more favorable art designs for some of the cards that I'm a huge fan of, right? And so for me, that's where kind of my preference is, especially as someone who's like a Diamond and Pearl fan. Crown Zenith has some incredible art designs, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, right? If you were to say taking out Crown Zenith, obviously that's one of my top 3 sets in the era of Sword and Shield. Arguably, it's one of my top 5 sets of all time. Getting rid of that does change it a lot for me. I think the era still holds up really strong because you've got Brilliant, because you've got obviously Fusion, Chilling, Evolving. But obviously, if you say let's cut off 3 sets and one of those being literally like one of the best sets they've ever created, and then LO, which is obviously one of the best performing sets, if we're talking about just from an investability perspective, it definitely changes a lot of the perspective of it.
True.
Okay, this guy's just been spamming. Piz says, when are you doing a box break? I assume that's for me, right? Because you do box breaks all the time,
I would
no?
guess, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely want to do a vintage box break at some point, just because, I mean, you know how I am. I think it'd be cool. I'd have to have the numbers. Like if I like knew preemptively, like, hey, could I get people to like with certainty, like because I don't want to just buy a booster box and then like no one buys in on it. So I'd have to find one that
We'll
people
run
would
it.
like.
We'll run it on my channel. We'll both be on screen.
Oh, there you go. That would be sick.
Tag team break, dude.
Oh, you know what'd actually be sick? What if we did a dual stream where we bought a booster box case, or sorry, not a booster box case. We bought a vintage booster box, and either we did a dual stream where I had one that I opened and you had one that you opened, and we would go back and forth, or we did one where we had one vintage box and then you had 18 packs, I had 18 packs, and then we would literally open like back and forth. I think that'd be cool. I don't
So
think
by vintage,
everyone's.
we're talking like Phantom Forces, right?
Yeah, exactly. You get it. Diamond Pearl. Diamond Pearl. No. Oh man. That'd be
Dude,
sick though. I think that
what
would
are
be fun.
even? I don't even know what any of those boxes cost. Like I'm so far removed from all that side of the market.
It's gone up quite a bit recently. So like Majestic Dawn, I've talked about it before in the past. Like I bought that for right around like 5,500 like a year and a half ago, to 2 years ago now. Those boxes for Majestic Dawn are going for right around 11,000, give or take. I'd say you could probably get it for like closer to 10. Obviously, the crispier the box, the better. So you want to talk about, do rips and tears matter? Yes, they do. And
No,
then
no,
if
they
we're
don't.
talking,
Not for what we want it for.
yeah, right. Well, okay, you
We
get what
want
I'm
all the
saying.
rips and tears.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying though. I'm talking about from like a premium.
Yeah.
Um, and then if we're talking like some of the cheaper ones, like the base sets, those used to go for right around like as cheap as I've seen sales as cheap as like 3,500 to 4,000. Now they're probably going closer to 6 to 7, from some of the more recent sales I've seen. So I would say like your range has definitely gone up quite a bit. And some of the boxes are even more like closer to 14, 15 if we're talking about like this, the Storm Fronts and the Supreme Victors, which is crazy because Majestic Dawn used to be the one that was more expensive than both.
Yeah, I mean, those would be, I think, a lot more risky than like a WOTC, like a Gen 1 box.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's one of those
And then
things where,
would you open every pack?
of course, if people bought it, I mean, we're doing a box break, right?
Well,
I
I
would.
just know like other people like they'll
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, no, I would wait. So I know all the weights, so I can tell you if it's heavy or not. So what I would do is I would literally, I would do a
like you buy the pack, you
option.
weigh it, and then if it's light, you send them the sealed pack. If it's heavy, you open
Yep,
it.
exactly,
Yeah,
Yep.
it's how like I know like I think Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles does it. I think Rusty TCH Gaming does it that way. Like I think that's kind of like the agreed upon way to do it. Because I mean, you don't want to open a light pack with literal no value. You might as well give them a light pack that you still get most all the value. You know.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. That's exactly what I would do. So we would obviously give them a discount if they bought an art set slightly. If they didn't buy an art set, we'd have a set price. And then there would
Yeah.
always be an option if they wanted to, they could either have it all be opened, or what we could do is they could choose to keep it sealed, regardless. Because there are certain sets where, like, here's a perfect example. For those of you guys that don't know, like we did a vintage break a couple of years ago, and platinum, you could get reverse hollow shinies. I opened for myself personally a light pack, and it happened to have a reverse hollow shiny Swablu. That card graded in a 10. There's only a pop 4 in existence. So in sets like that, sometimes it does make sense. I know that's super risky, but I did it because I'm a degenerate, and it paid off big time,
Did you
right?
sell it?
No, I still have it in the shop. It's a pop 4. They're so rare. There's no sales data. There's one sales history of it selling for $1,200 like almost 4 years ago now. But like that was 4 years ago. I can only imagine how much it's worth
I wonder
now
what a
for someone
9
who's trying to
sells
master
for.
set. Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I would be curious. But if you're wondering which one it is, guys, it's the shiny Swablu reverse hollow from Platinum base set. So, but that was such a fun stream. I would love to do a vintage stream. We would just obviously have to have the people for it, but my choice would obviously be the Diamond and Pearl era, but I'm not opposed to, other eras. But I feel like the Diamond and Pearl era is one where it's affordable compared to some of the other vintage like EX era, and you can also still get monster expensive cards. because like level X cards are going like they've just skyrocketed so much. It's crazy to see how valuable they are now. Like I remember them being like, I remember telling myself, $300, I'm not buying a level X for $300 in a 10. That's crazy. And now they're like selling for multiples of thousands. I'm like, crap, should have bought them when I had the chance.
Look at Saucy.
Idiot.
With CT scanning, it's going to be hard to trust the packs aren't tampered with after the streams. Money can get packs expedited before the next stream. Dude, no, like the box is going to be open on stream. You're going to have the packs in the mail in the next like 2 to 4 days. Like no one's got a CT scanning at their house, dude. Like what do you mean?
That's crazy to me.
Like well, we have CT machines here at our houses. We're gonna like run them. And by the way, if the heavy ones would be open, the light ones wouldn't have anything in them to be anyway. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
You're sending someone a sealed light pack. There's already, I don't know.
Dude, the data on the Swab Blue is like, there's just no data for it. I'm literally looking right now and I can't find any sales data. It looks like it's a pop 5 now. So it looks like someone did increase it by 1. So went from pop 4 to pop 5. Devastating. In the PSA 9, it's 64. I do own a 9 as well also. I pulled 2 of them, which is crazy.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah. All right, where are we? Next question. But yeah, dead ass. If you want to talk about that later, bro, I'd be down to do something like that if we had the
It's
numbers.
possible.
Question is how long will it stay if it gets below 200? Okay, he's not asking the question. This was earlier our discussion with the mega box. People are talking about it, obviously. Yeah. Alex, when you said bought 18 case of prismatic, did you mean for investment or rip and ship? Great question.
Yeah, so investment. My friend who worked with me, he wanted 2, so I gave him 2 at the price I paid. And then yeah, so 16 cases of prismatic for yeah, I'm not no, why would I open sealed cases for a stream if they have a premium? I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no. Dude, Derek, please stop spamming the chat. With ancillary product being the bulk of reprints, do you think it makes sense to buy booster boxes earlier?
I mean, I think it makes sense to at least get a position, like something, right? Like just in case type thing. And you can always average in later. And like, because if you get a small position up front and it really gets crushed and reprinted, and then you buy a larger position at the bottom, the dollar cost average is going to bring that one way down. And so like, if you buy one case at, let's say, 1,200, but then you could get, two or 3 or 4 cases down at like, 900 a case. Well, it's going to be basically you paid, 9 something for every case or whatever. So it's like, on the flip side of that, Destined Rivals, perfect example. If you'd bought Destined Rivals at release when it was like 220s, 230s, well, now it's all within the 300s. Like, dude, we're hoping that a reprint knocks it back down to the 220s. Like at this rate, there is a possibility it never gets that low again. Like it very well could, but there's at least a positive. You'd be happy that you have the case that you bought at the beginning than not having one at all. So yeah, I think it definitely, there's an argument to buying some at the beginning.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's hard for me to answer that right now just because only time's going to tell if they're going to do booster box reprints. You can say yes, maybe now it makes sense, but like, I don't know. I don't want to jump the gun just yet.
It's what's funny is like, it's always made sense, right? Like, I think people get too worried about like trying to be, like max efficiency with their dollars. And like, if that's your goal, then yeah, I mean, you could definitely try to play around with the market a little bit, but like realistically, boxes used to come out and be, dirt cheap. They used to be 600 or less a case. Safari Zone had them, Hills Wholesale Gaming had them, eBay TCG Player, you could probably find them. So it's like, it always made sense to pay sub $100 a box. It's just the only reason people thought it didn't was, well, I'll likely be able to pick it up around that price in a year and a half from now. I don't want to have dead money sitting there. I'm going to buy X, Y, or Z for now. When in reality, the price point always made sense.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It's been something that's always been such a good pickup. If you just look at the history of like Scarlet and Violet, yeah, it's just, I mean, history of prior to that.
Yeah.
With them changing the guillotine hit rates on secret rares in Japan from 1 to 2 per box, do you think you'll see the shift in English?
The changing the guaranteed hit rates? What's going on? I don't know what's going on.
He's saying that they changed the hit rates apparently to where now secret rares you're guaranteed 1 per box. Now it's 2.
I didn't know that. Do you think we'll see a shift to English? Like, what average player? I'll look at the chat right now. What do you mean by a shift to English? Like a shift in more people wanting English, or a shift to the English pull rates changing? I guess. How do you read that, Eli?
How I read is he's asking, since pull rates in Japan are getting better with their product, do you think pull rates in English are going to get better? But I
Okay.
don't know. It's hard to say because like English, I guess in booster boxes there is technically a guaranteed hyper rare secret rare. I don't know. Are full arts considered secret rares?
No. Oh, in Japanese, I feel like that's like considered one of the box hits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He said, "Do you think they'll change the pull rates for English mega set now? They did it for the Japanese." I doubt it. Like making it easier. I don't think people want easier. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, dude, here's the funny part. Pokemon is one of the easiest TCGs out there. Like the pull rates on Pokemon are some of the easiest pull rates out. I mean, name a TCG that has easier pull rates. Like Magic doesn't, like One Piece doesn't. I mean, I've been opening Gundam. Gundam sure doesn't. Like Dragon Ball Super had god tier rarities. I mean, Eli, I don't know, like help me out. Like what, Flesh and Blood? Like, I mean, I feel like Pokemon's got really, really easy hit rates compared to other TCGs.
I mean, it definitely is hard to say for certain because like obviously like if we're talking Magic, we'll take Magic for example, serialized cards. I mean, there's only so many, right? So you can't really compare that. Whereas if you're just talking sets that don't have serialized, the fracture foil or the halo foils or these other foil types, you have a specific like you have a specific product in which you can only buy these items in. So it's kind of difficult to say for certain comparing it, but I don't know. Having done Flesh and Blood, there's some really insane cards that are super rare that I haven't pulled before, and and I've opened like tens of cases. So I would definitely say with Pokemon, it's much easier.
I mean, I don't know. Everyone I've like kind of talked to, I think most people would prefer a decent hit card that's actually worth some value than, the top hit being like 30 or 40 bucks, but hey, you pull it really often. Like I think people want some sort of chase.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, chases are huge in any TCG. People are willing to open things if they know they can find value. Like it just makes
It's kind
sense.
of the reason the
It's
small sets like
gambling.
Journey Together, kind of don't get a lot of love because they're too small. That you pull everything too fast, like, and why people still open Prismatic like crazy to this day because there's huge chases. It's really hard to pull everything, and it's one of the most open sets in the hobby. I think there's something to that.
Yeah. No, 100%. All right, let's do a couple more questions, then let's get out of here. This one it looks like is for me. Eli, I'd love some advice. Starting out in MTG bulk, inventory is decent. I have an 500 feedback eBay account as a beginner. Should I take the route of eBay or TCG Player? Other advice? Man, TCG Player, in my personal experience, is just significantly easier because you have like am I out of focus all of a sudden? What's going on with that? Sorry about that. Um, in my experience, TCG Player is just easier because just with their inventory system, you don't have to have images. eBay, you do. So that's just why I would go TCG Player 100%. Only other advice I personally have is just get really good with inventory management. That's kind of my biggest advice. And then find a long term way to get off of both of those sites. I think it's great if you can stay on those sites and make a profitable business at like a mass scale, but also if you can find a way to where you can start to avoid the fees of getting absolutely killed on TC Player for certain cards, and you can like get a pro account that sends you to your own website where you don't have those fees, like you could save yourself so much money.
For bulk,
Yes, 100%.
are
Well,
you
I
are you
guess
doing that?
I mean, I guess when I say bulk, I mean cards that are like $1, $2, $3.
Oh, so
Or
not
like
like a
just in
straight like
general.
okay.
But yeah, not like penny cards. That's what our long-term goal is currently. That's our next thing. So like at least I know he's not a storefront, right? But like at least in the local area, the big thing that we're trying to do, and this is separate, I wouldn't recommend this obviously if you're not a storefront, but like the ability for people to buy cards online and pick them up in person, massive, like huge, right? And so people are willing to not only pay a premium for that, but like are you guys familiar with Mox Boarding House? Are you familiar with them?
No.
So Mox Boarding House is now a like national chain. They've got like 5 locations now for like mega centers owned by Card Kingdom. You know Card Kingdom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the inside of them has a play area, an in-person like area to buy cards and or pick up cards, and then an actual like dining area to play tabletop games or like trading card games. So the big thing that they're pushing to do is they're using these like storefront locations, restaurant locations to be regional hubs for their singles inventory online. And so Card Kingdom has about a 10 to 15% premium over TCG player. Yet in the local area, they just became like local to Phoenix as of like a couple months ago. They're one of the top places to buy cards because people would prefer to have all their cards available in the same day rather than having to piecemeal from TCG Player or multiple other local card shops in the area. So if you can kind of find a way to make yourself more accessible and like growing your collection, that's like a huge thing that people are really willing to pay a premium for. And so marketing yourself as an alternative option, you can actually do that through a pro account. Like that's a thing you can actually do. Where if you want to, you can create a TCG Player pro account and you can allow in-store pickup. They might require brick and mortar verification, but like I think that's something that I'm personally looking into. But it, just like I said before, that's more of a brick and mortar thing. But if you can just create an account, brand yourself, and sell through that, you can not have to pay the exorbitant fees, which is huge if you can become a reputable brand that people are willing to work with you like you are someone that sells like sealed product. Now, alternatively, my only other piece of advice I have is like I said, just get better at inventory management if you want to just stick to the route of TCG Player so you can be more efficient because obviously your time is more valuable. If you're selling a card that's 10 cents and you bought it for a penny, sure, it's a 1000% rate of return, but how long did it take for you to sell that card compared to a $1,000 card that you bought for 900 bucks? You're making more money per hour if it takes you the same amount of time to sell that card where you're losing money with the other. Does that make sense, Alex? Do you think I explained that well?
Yeah, I mean, it's always gonna be. I don't know. It's always like catch 22. It's just like when you start moving on to doing things yourself, like I think fees get like man, they get really like almost demonized by a lot of people, but. Dude, those platforms do a lot. Like you don't have to keep track of all your own sales tax, all the different states and all the different filings. Like they keep all the sales data and all the return and everything for you. Where you don't have to do that yourself. They do bring you like the millions and millions of customers every single day, so you don't have to go out and find your own customers. So it's like for what you're doing, you're trying to like build this real large like longevity type business. But I think for certain people, like just staying on the major platforms can be enough. I don't know.
But here's the problem. They don't have sales data. Their data management's horrific. So like if I want to go to TCG Player and add an inventory, and let's say that I bought a card for 10 cents, I can't add that I bought the card for 10 cents. I can only add what I'm selling it for. And worse than that, if I do a report, if I sold that card, let's say I have 100 different copies, and during that process of me selling those 100 copies, they sold for a different price, like $100 one time, $2 another time, $1.50
Why
another
why
time.
is that relevant though?
It's relevant because if you want to do this, you need to know what your margins are. And if I have no way to calculate my margins because it's not letting me hold the data for what I bought the cards for and hold the data for what I sold the card for, how am I going to know if I'm profitable or not? We can sit here and we can play the game of like selling cards and knowing more money's coming in than out and assume that we're doing good. But like if you want to be a real business, you need to understand what your margins are.
Yeah, I mean, the platform's not gonna. I mean, you can keep track of it, but like, yeah, the platform doesn't keep your margins. But I don't know, like, I don't know. I just think there's definitely a certain value of like them bringing you all the customers and dealing with all the back end stuff for you.
There is, I agree, but like I guess the thing
People just
is
have to
like
decide like when that becomes like not enough value for how much you're paying in fees, right? Like where I think with you, you're at that point now where you have enough infrastructure built up where it's no longer worth it for you. Whereas like someone that doesn't have a store or whatever and is just starting out, it might be more worth it for them to just stick on TCG Player for a while.
I can agree with that. If I understand the question was obviously as a beginner, like which route would you take? Obviously, like I said, TCG player. The other advice I'm more giving is that like we're growing obviously with our own infrastructure, but right now we're technically like losing value because we're like putting ourselves in a position where we're scared to grow because we don't know if it's sustainable because we don't have the numbers to in front of us of what's
Yeah.
profitable and what's not. So like
Yeah.
I'm saying, hey, while you're starting out, if it's me, I try and see if you can come up with a good way to figure out how you can better manage your margins within these platforms or find ways to have an inventory management system
I mean, I think it's
outside that
pretty
integrates.
I would say I don't think you need to get that detailed with it, dude. I think it's pretty simple. I think it'd just be, money spent on your inventory for your singles. It'd be sales, and then whenever you did an inventory each month, you just add that in. So it's like say inventory minus or sales minus inventory minus what you spent, and that kind of gives you where you're at. And I know
I
your
don't know.
inventory can change, like the price points can fluctuate, so that throws it off. But like, when you have like what you spent, how much you sold, right? Like sales minus expenses, and then you take in how much inventory you still are holding, that should kind of give you what your margins are.
Yeah, but I don't know. I won't get into it too much because I could just, I mean, I could keep going.
Dude, maybe we
Like
should just have a singles bulk stream one time.
my thing is this, and I'll just leave it at this, and we'll move on. If you want to really, really be successful, you need to be as efficient as possible in every area, and so you need to cut out all the bulk, literally, that is costing you time and money. And the thing
Mhm.
is if you have ways to have data points that are going to tell you, hey, these cards do really well in volume. Hey, these cards offer you better margin. Hey, these cards are the ones you should be looking out for and buying specifically. That data is so valuable. Like it's
Yeah.
extremely valuable, especially as well because a lot of people like in my program, my wholesale program, they're buying sealed product like commander decks, breaking them down and selling off those singles. So if there's a way where before they sell the like commander decks that they're breaking down, they specifically are sifting through certain cards so they know not to waste their time selling them because they're just kicking up dust and they can just go bulk sell them off. That's going to save you a lot of inventory space. It's going to save you a lot of time for going through and having to sell it. It's like there's so many things that I feel like are going to equate to just a better operation. But
Yeah.
sadly, at the moment, they just don't have that data currently. Yes, you can still run a successful operation without doing that, but like on like a grand scale, there are so many points of like, hey, I need more inventory. Hey, I am wasting time selling off these cards. Hey, how can I minimize these concerns? If we had those data points, then obviously it would allow you to be
Yeah.
much more efficient faster.
I 100% agree. You're getting to that stage where you're having to think about like, employee labor and how that all factors in. And that's all that stuff becomes a lot more important for sure.
If I have 500 cards that have been sitting there and they haven't been moving,
Yeah.
it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's
I
something that I
remember
need
that's
to
what
be
I used to ask you
calculating.
about back when you were like really getting into the bulk. I'm like, well, what do you do with all the cards that like just don't sell? Like they just sit in inventory? Because I was always thinking about that with the commander decks. I'm like, there has to be a good portion of this that just never sell. Like, what do you do with those?
Well, and that's the problem is like, and this is where once again the data is good. I just go off of a price point threshold because that's all you can do right now. And so it's like, oh, if the card's worth 15 cents or less, it's not worth our time. But there are cards that are 15 cents that are worth our time because they sell so well, which sucks because we're missing out on that. But obviously, because we don't have that like data, we just have to take the L on it and just be okay with just price thresholding cards at a certain price point or less, and then just going and selling them out in like bulk lots on eBay or like
Yeah.
locally bulk or however it's easiest for you to sell the bulk off.
I think it all sounds smart to me. Yeah.
All right, two more questions that we're going to get out of here. What would your plan/time frame for offloading long-term holds be? Sell certain 40% at five. We've talked about this so many times, man. Yeah, he's just like, what's your time frame for offloading long-term holds?
All right, Andrew. I've had two times where and over the course of all of this where I've ever sold. One has been in 2021 where I felt things were too parabolic and I truly did not feel confident that things were going to hold up and that things were going to continue the way they were. And so I sold out then. And then another time when I wanted to pay my house off, I sold out then because I needed to raise cash to pay my house off. Those are the only two times I've sold. And so like I sell when I like have something else that I either have want to do with the money or I truly believe there's something better to do with the money. And so if I don't see something better to do with the money, I don't see another investment better, I don't need the money for something else, I'm not selling. It doesn't make sense to. Why create an income event? Why create something where you're going to a taxable event or something where you have to like use that money again and roll it into something else so it's not going to get taxed? Why create that if you don't need to? And so like if you're just looking at certain percentages or time frames, like that's all fine and good, but it's like you could have never seen any of this happening, right? You could have said, I'm going to buy, Paldea Evolved until it hits X percentage. It's like, well, I guess you already sold it then. It's already gone, right? Because, well, or is it a certain time frames, like certain years? It's like, okay, well, if Team Up hit its certain year, you held it for 5 years and sold it. It's like, well, now you missed out on this year. It went to, so it's just like, I just don't like limiting myself to like certain percentages or time frames. But if you're like, if you want to, de-risk or de-leverage and you want to like get to the point where you're holding like zero cost basis, I definitely get the fact of like, once things double in price, sell off half, keep the other half for free and let it grow, kind of infinitely. I like that method, but otherwise for me, I'm just not selling unless I need to for something.
I mean, I talked about it on last stream. We went in depth. For me, I've only sold off in life events, like I've said, with the move and the getting a new home or like trying to achieve certain goals, because that's what we're working towards with investing in this product is,
Yep.
hey, I have a goal. I would like to do this some point in my life, but I need X money to do so. Okay, cool. How am I going to achieve this? I will get this product. I will earn a value from investing in this product. I will then sell off that product to achieve said life goal. That's just it. If you haven't achieved the life goal, then I'm not selling, right? And that's just kind of how I look at it. And so right now, I had a goal of course, getting into a home. I used some of that money for a down payment on a home, which I am now, moving into. Very blessed to have that opportunity. My next step in my life is plan for my retirement. I'm going to invest money, which I will hold off until I have enough inventory to where I will, of course, begin to retire. Maybe I'll sell off some stuff at some point to like move my money around because, as I've said before, space is important. So like if I have too many booster boxes and let's say each booster box sells for 400, well, if I can go take that case, $2,400 worth of value and go sell it and buy a case of like evolving, which goes for 13,000, right? And now I'm taking up a third of the space because of course the value of the booster box compared to how much space to take. You get the point I'm saying, or
Yeah.
whatever the math ends up being. That's where I make those like lateral moves because I'm obviously trying to just free up my space. But other than that, like I'm waiting until those life events are achieved before I begin to think about selling.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Okay, actually I lied. Two more questions because there are super chats we got to take here. Shout out to Oris TCG. Thank you so much for the $5.
We answered that for him, didn't we?
Um, yeah, we did. Oh, that's interesting. Why did he give the $5? That's interesting. I
Really
didn't see
appreciate the
that.
super chat, dude. Yeah, man. If you missed it earlier, we were just saying that, like, if you really like the card, whatever, it makes sense. I mean, like for the same price, I think there's some other alt arts like the Charizard that's relatively the same price. It might be better. And I'm more like usually going into like the top hit cards more than just like the, kind of like going down the list and further in the set. But it's not to say they can't do well. It is doing well. It's great art. I mean, it's not my first choice, but it's not a bad choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, wait, we answered this question. Weird. All right, last super chat, and then we're out of here. Thank you so much for the super chat, Steve. Loose packs currently 50% off of booster boxes, 80% historically. Will revert to 80% or stay 50%. Just bought 36 loose evolving skies packs for $1,300, feeling silly.
I don't know, dude. There's just so much like there's so much fear with all the loose packs because of like all the swirling, YouTube videos and all the content about like loose packs, and so like I'm sure that's playing into the prices of loose packs and why it's a lower percentage than historically. With that being said, I think streamers are always going to need packs, and so I do think that does feel low when compared to what the boxes are going for. And so yeah, I mean, I could see a play there for sure.
I mean, we've talked about it specifically with 151, and like there's instances in which it makes sense to buy loose over sealed because the premium differences. I think with Evolving Skies being such a strong set, this is one of those instances where it can make sense.
I mean, here's the thing, guys. Like, I mean, all Sword and Shield I buy is loose at this point, right? Because the boxes are too expensive. I'd sell the packs for too high. I wouldn't be competitive. And I mean, every week we open Sword and Shield. Every week we pull alt arts. Like this week we pulled Fusion Strike, Mew V alt art, and Genesect V alt art. Like we pull full arts all the time, rainbows all the time. Like I think this kind of narrative as some of the drama channels push that everything's like whatever, Wade, CT scanned, metal detected, all this stuff. I think it is so few and far between. But again, because of that, it's created enough like fear that's, I think probably kept these packs lower than they normally would be. And so I think that's probably what's driving the lower prices.
Yeah. All right. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up on out of here, Mr.
Oh man, another fun week of Pokemon, baby.
Heck yeah, brother.
What could be better?
Yeah, right. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. We got a month, got a little bit over a month before we get to Mega. We'll obviously keep track of the price, see where that is. But as always, we want to thank you guys all so much for stopping by. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, really helps the YouTube channel. Check out Alex's link is down in the description below to see his channel. But thank you guys all once again so much. We will see you all next Monday. Peace.